Good morning, everyone. I, Sadra Shahnaz, Assistant Professor, Department of History, Integral University, Lucknow. It is my pleasure to introduce our expert, Dr. Muhammad Nazrul Bari. Sir, presently he is the Associate Professor of History at Center of Advanced Study, Department of History, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. For today's lecture in the value-added course entitled Ancient History from the Purview of Civil Services Examination. Our esteemed guest is a renowned historian and expert in the field of ancient Indian history. With over 20 years of teaching experience and research, our expert has made significant contribution to the field of Indian history. He is a recipient of several awards and honors for his contribution to the field. Previously, he held various prestigious positions. For example, he was former head Department of History, Central University of Karnataka, and he was also former member Academic Council, Central University of Karnataka. He was in England to utilize the grant given by Royal Numismatic Society England to work on punchmark coins in British Museum, London, and University of Oxford and Iran as an international guest invited by Iranian government. He was attended many national and international conferences and seminars. Apart from his extensive knowledge and research, our expert has also mentioned several civil services, mentored several civil services aspirants, helping them to ace the history portion of the civil services examination. He has also authored numerous books and articles on ancient Indian history that have been widely acclaimed. Today, our expert will share his insights on the importance of ancient Indian history for civil service aspirants and how they can approach this subject to score better in the examination. This lecture will be on origin, geographical extent, and political structure of Gupta dynasty. Without further ado, let us welcome our expert for today's lecture on origin, geographical extent, and political structure of Gupta dynasty. Kindly join the lecture, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sadira. Am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible, Sadira?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Acha, acha. So, thank you, Dr. Sadira, for inviting me, and thanks to the Integral University and other faculty members of the department for designing such a wonderful program. So, the maximum student who wanted to appear for the civil services, they can get benefit out of it. Actually, the topic which was given to me about the Guptas, lot of work has already been done. Even then, I would like to share my own understanding on the topic, as the topic is known to you, and the topic is about origin of Guptas, their geographical extent, and the political structure, which we have to discuss about Gupta dynasty. Here, we are expected to discuss about the origin of the term Gupta, how the term Gupta was associated with Gupta Empire, or the suffix, what we call it, what may be the probable caste, from which caste they originally belonged or they may belong, and then the origin of or the original area or the area which may they belonged originally. And then we will discuss the major contribution of the important rulers of Gupta dynasty and then the political system which was prevailing under Guptas. And at the end, we will have conclusion. See, as a student of history, what I was told, okay, whenever you are sharing any topic with the student, first discuss the sources. for the better understanding of the topic. But as we have very limited time, so what I will do, side by side, whenever I will share some information with you, I will cite some sources also along with you, along with it for the better understanding of the student. Now, there are two kind of sources, literary sources and then the archaeological sources, about which I don't want to go into the detail because it will further spoil our timing. Let us come with the start with the discussing the term caste, the caste of Guptas, and how the word Gupta associated with the Gupta dynasties. Actually, as far as the origin of Guptas is concerned, what we have seen, कि much before the foundation of the Gupta dynasty, the word Gupta was associated with the name of Chandragupta, is it? Who was the founder of the Mauryan dynasty. So the term Gupta was not new into the Indian history. And secondly, what we have seen, even there was one more famous Gupta, had a named Upagupta. It was he who converted Ashoka into Buddhism. Coming down to the later period, especially during Satvahana period, what we have seen, there are number of name which had a title, which had a suffix Gupta, और सफिक्स मतलब जो नाम के आखिर में हो, जैसे परी गुप्ता, then we have Shiva Gupta, and then we have Shiva Skand Gupta. These are the few names which are associated with the inscription that was issued by Satvahana ruler. So Gupta was not a new term in which originated somewhere in the 3rd century AD or 4th century AD. The people of ancient age keep using Gupta as a title or the suffix with their name. It was only during later period what we have seen that the people having term Gupta with their name were associated with the Vaishya Varna or Vaishya caste. But this can hardly be true to the period about which we are dealing, or the 3rd century, 4th century, or 5th century AD. Indeed, what we have seen, ke the case of Imperial Gupta is somewhat difficult. And in the first place, here the word Gupta is not ending with the first ruler. The genealogy of the Gupta dynasty was first time we are getting this information about the ancestor of Samudragupta from the Allahabad pillar inscription. Sometimes we call it Prayag Prasasti. Actually, this is the unique pillar where we do have the inscription of four different ruler. First, it was Ashoka. Originally, it was Ashoka who installed the pillar, and he wrote inscription on the same pillar was Samudragupta, who where we can get the inscription of Samudragupta, and then it was Akbar during medieval period, the Mughal ruler, and then even Jahangir. So four ruler of four different period, they have their inscription on the same pillar. Actually, the whole inscription was composed by the court poet Hari Sen, who was working with Samudragupta, and total number of lines of inscription is 31 and a half. Sometimes we can call it 32 lines. So in the same inscription, we do have information about the ancestry of Samudragupta. So what it was recorded in the inscription, it was Shri Gupta, who was the first ruler of the dynasty, is it? And then he was succeeded by Shri Ghatotkach. And then Shri Ghatotkach was succeeded by his son, Shri Chandragupta. Is it? About whom we call it Chandragupta first, who was the father of Samudragupta. So, problem with the inscription, problem with the information, it Shri is basically the word which we all North Indian used as a respect or as a honor to the people, is it? So, what was the actual name of the first ruler? That is not known. Only Shri Gupta is not a sufficient information. And so, if at all they belong to the Gupta or they had a suffix like Gupta, so why not Ghatotkach had a same suffix? Why simply Ghatotkach? It must be Ghatotkach Gupta. But that kind of information is not available from Allahabad pillar inscription. And surprisingly, there is a one more inscription issued by Askandagupta, and that is what we call it Bhitri pillar inscription from Gazipur, where the name of Shri Gupta is not there. What is there in the Bhitri inscription? It was Shri Ghatotkacha was the first ruler of Gupta dynasty. While Allahabad pillar inscription, it was Shri Gupta was the first, Ghatotkacha was the second, third was Chandragupta first, and then it was Samundragupta. While surprisingly, there is a altogether name of Shri Gupta is not appearing in Bhitri pillar inscription. So there may be several other regions that we all know it was Chandragupta first who was the real founder of the Gupta dynasty, is it? And maybe he had a suffix Gupta with his name. So the ruler who came after him, one after the other, they followed the same title. So there is a possibility of that. As far as caste of the Gupta is concerned, what we have seen, there are different opinion of the people. One group of historians they say they may be Jat or they may be Brahman, they may be Kshatriya. Why? So altogether, there are three, four view of the historians on the basis of their own understanding, on the basis of their sources. According to K.P. Jaiswal, he did a lot on ancient history. He has written extensively on ancient Indian history. What he has suggested, actually, Guptas were the Jat, or they belong to the Jat clan, and the to support his theory, to support his idea of the origin of Gupta from the Jat, what K.P. Jaiswal has written in his book, he has identified the King Chandrasen, who was recorded in the play that was written during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, Kamodi Mahotsav. And in that play, what it is recorded, कि Chandrasena Ajay Karsakara, which KP Jaiswal tried to connect with Kakkar, and that is a Goth which is still prevailing among the Jat. So, what KP Jaiswal was trying to connect Kakkar with the Guptas, and that too on the basis of a play which was written during Gupta period. Because the system of Gotra was already started in Indian history in later Vedic period, is it? And people from the same Gotra, they were not supposed to get married with each other. This was a system which was started during later Vedic age. While H.C. Roy Chaudhary, who was known for writing a political history of ancient India, what he had suggested, it was Dharani, Dharani. Dharani was basically the Goth and of Gupta. Dharani was the Gotra of Gupta, and that is not recorded in Gupta inscription, but that information is known to us from the inscription of Vakatakas, where the daughter of Chandragupta II, Prabhavati Gupta, got married. Actually, what we have seen, Prabhavati Gupta was the daughter of Chandragupta II, and she got married with Rudrasena II of Vakataka's dynasty. They had their rule in, Nagpur area, and they were Brahmins. What we have seen, they were Brahmins, and Prabhavati Gupta got married with Rudra Singha. In there is a inscription that is Chamak copper plate inscription, Chamak, Chamak copper plate inscription. In that Chamak copper plate inscription, what it has been recorded, कि Prabhavati Gupta belonged to a Gotra known as Dharni Gotra, is it? And on that basis, what H.C. Rai Chaudhary did, he traced the Gotra of Guptas from the Queen Dharni, is it? And Queen Dharni was basically the consort of Lord, you know, consort of Agnimitra. But it seems it's difficult to connect that Gotra with such a legendary event. Based on the Skanda Puran, which was written during, because what we have seen, all the Puranas were written during Gupta period or post Gupta period, and that too in a future tense, is it? Altogether, there are 18 Puranas. So, on the basis of Askand Puran, what we have seen, कि Dasrath Sharma, he basically theorized that Dharna was a gotra of a Brahmin, is it? Not the Vaishyas or not the Jat. And they were living somewhere near to the Mirzapur district once upon a time. Similarly, there was a ancient scholar working on ancient India, S.R. Goel. He had altogether a different opinion and he suggested that they were Brahmins or the Gupta were Brahmins. Is it? And in favor of his opinion, in favor of his own understanding, what S.R. Goel has suggested, that Prabhavati Gupta, the daughter of Chandragupta II, she got married with the Brahmin ruler of Vakatakas, Rudrasena II. This was the first argument of S.R. Goel. Okay, both were Brahmins, Vakatakas were Brahmins, Guptas were Brahmins. That is why both the family got related through each other. Secondly, Kadamba king Kukustha Varman, he was also a Brahmin and he married one of his daughter to the Gupta king. So again, both the family were Brahmins, so they got connected with each other through the matrimonial alliances. This is what S.R. Goel has suggested. But my own understanding is कि अगर गुप्ता ब्राह्मण होते, if at all, because Brahmin was supposed to be the highest varna among the social hierarchy. If at all वो Brahmin होते गुप्ता, तो they would have proudly mentioned it in their inscription. But nowhere in the inscription of Guptas or any minister associated with Guptas issued an inscription, never ever mentioned that Guptas were basically belong to a Brahmin Varna, Brahmin caste or Brahmin Varna. Now, what we have seen surprisingly in Allahabad pillar inscription, कि Samudra Gupta, who was the one associated with the Allahabad pillar inscription, Samudra Gupta, even in that inscription, never ever mentioned about his own caste, own origin, but yes, he was proudly mentioning about his maternal ancestry from the Lichavis, who were not Brahmins. What we have seen, Samudragupta father, Chandragupta first, got married with a Lichvi princess, is it? And Samudragupta was basically the son of both. Now, Lichavis were not Brahmin, But see, Samudragupta is feeling proud of his, you know, maternal ancestry. Okay, they were so powerful and they were so famous. अगर वो ब्राह्मण होता तो definitely he would have been recorded it in his inscription. Even Lichavis were not Brahmins. Lichavis were regarded as a impure in a in the text which was composed during Gupta and post-Gupta period, especially Manusmriti. They were regarded as a impure or Malech. Actually, the Malech was the word which later associated with the foreigners, especially Muslim during early medieval period. Now, there are other historian like A.S. Altekar. He had his own opinion, he had his own understanding, and according to that, K. Gupta were mainly Vaishyas. As there are texts like Vishnu Purana, that is information recorded. K. Gupta were basically the title which was used by the people belong to the Vaishya Varna. So, on the basis of Vishnu Puran, A.S. Altekar had his own opinion, his own observation, his own understanding. Okay, it was basically Gupta belonged to the Vaishya caste. But this is the general opinion. Now, even today, most of the historian working on medieval ancient history, they do believe Gupta belong to the Vaishya origin. As far as the early or the original home of the Gupta is concerned, okay, from which region of North India or Eastern India they originally belonged, we have altogether a different debate. Actually, what it is suggested by the most of the historian working on Guptas and post-Gupta period, okay, actually the two Gupta ruler, especially Shri Gupta and Shri Ghatotkacha, they were the one who were not the independent ruler, as they do have title of Maharaj only. Is it? Maharaja Shri Gupta and Maharaja Shri Ghatotkacha. So they were not sovereign ruler, they were not full-fledged ruler, they were subordinate of some superior ruler. Is it? And this is what it was suggested. It was they were basically working under Kushanas, who had their power center mainly in the northwestern India. However, literary and archaeological sources indicate that they become independent or the Guptas become independent in second decade of 4th century AD. An inscription tells us that Shri Gupta was the first king and Ghatotkacha was the next to follow him, but even then they were not independent. Chandragupta first was the first ruler of Gupta dynasty who had a title of Maharaja Dhiraj. Is it? Raja, Maharaja, and Maharaja Dhiraj. These are basically the hierarchy of the ruling class during ancient period. So Maharaja Dhiraj was the supreme. Then Maharaja was subordinate, and then the Raja was the subordinate of Maharaja. So what I was telling you, it was Chandragupta first who used the title Maharaja Dhiraj. Now, what happened? We do have evidences that after declaring his independence in Magadh, Chandragupta, with the matrimonial alliances with the Lichavis, enlarged his kingdom. And we know about his alliances with the special category of the coins because there is a gold coins in which both, Chandragupta first and his wife, who was actually the princess of Lichavis, Kumara Devi, both are appearing on the coins, and there is a Sanskrit inscription Lichiviyaha Lichchhavayh, means Lichavis. So it was a proud moment for Chandragupta to have a matrimonial alliances with Lichavis. That is why he wanted to make use of it, his relation with the Lichavis, and he took benefit of it. He about whom it is said it was he who first start expanding the territories of Guptas. Now there is a debate who issued these coins. According to John Allen, who published a catalog of Gupta coins in 1914, according to him, it was the coins which was issued by Samudra Gupta in honor of his parents, Chandragupta first and Kumara Devi. While there are another group of historians or the archaeologists or the numismatists, they had their altogether different understanding and they said no, it was Chandragupta first after getting married with Kumara Devi, he issued these coins, is it? Now, as far as the original home of the Guptas is concerned, original area from where they belong, there is two, three different opinion there because there is a problem with ancient history. Okay, there are different types of sources, and the dating of sources is quite confusing, is it? So sometimes we have to be very careful when we are going through the ancient text, ancient portion of history, due to the confusion in the sources, because there is proper chronology of the sources. We cannot simply judge the sources in which period this source was written down. So because of that reason, there are a lot of confusion in ancient history. So we cannot say something with much surety that this thing happened, is it? So what happened? There was a information which was actually recorded by Itsing. Itsing was the third important Chinese traveler who visited India, and that too in the second half of 7th century. And he he finished his text somewhere around 691-92 BC, and the text which he was produced was known as Cow Fao Cow, Cau Cow. I don't know how to read Chinese, so please forgive me if I am pronouncing it wrongly. So Kau cow, then Fa K A O cow, then sang, and then Chuen. This was basically the title of the book, which was produced by Itsing, and it is said this book was published somewhere around 691-92, AD. And he had made mention of the 56 Buddhist pilgrimage where he visited, where he personally went and observed and recorded the thing in his text. Out of 56, there is a one information which is quite helpful to us. He made mention of a China temple, is it? And what it is recorded by him, that China temple was built almost 500 years ago, is it? 500 years ago, and that too by a ruler known as Shri Gupta. Shri Gupta, why this? We do have the name Shri Gupta appearing in Allahabad pillar inscription also, as the earliest known ruler of Gupta dynasty, is it? Here also the name Shri Gupta is appearing. And secondly, what it was recorded in the same text, कि Gupta built a temple where mainly the Chinese people were coming, or it was known as China Temple. And he granted revenue of 24 villages for the maintenance of that particular temple. Is it? And even Itsing made mention of the distance of that China temple from Bodh Gaya, the place where Gautam Buddha got enlightenment. So, on the basis of the distance and the direction mentioned by Itsing, there was a Bengali scholar, B.C. Ganguly, what he had suggested that place was somewhere situated in Murshidabad district of Bengal. And D.C. Ganguly tried to locate that place inside the Bengal only. Now, there is another information that is mainly coming from the Vishnu Puran, Bhagavad Puran, or Vayu Puran. These are few of the Puranas which are very informative to understand the history of Gupta dynasty. So these three Puranas, where we do get information, the earliest area or the earlier known area where Gupta were ruling was Prayag, that is Allahabad, Saket, that is Ayodhya, and the Magadh. Actually, Puranas are the text, as I said, they are 18 in numbers, and we do get two kind of information from Puranas. One, the genealogical list of the kings, is it? The dynasties. We do have information about the ruler of Satavahanas, who was the earlier one, who succeeded him, then who came next. All these details, one by one, is recorded in Puranas. Even we do have information of Mauryas and before Mauryas, Nandas. All these information are recorded in Puranas. As I said, it was written in a future tense. So one information that is related with the royal family, dynasties, and how many rulers were there, who ruled how many years. All these details are there, including important achievements. And secondly, we do have information about the genealogical list of the important sages or rishi. Is it? Okay, who was their father, when they born, and what were their achievements, their contribution. All these things you can find it in the Puranas. So on the basis of few statement which I am going to share with you, you may able to understand actually the original area or the area where originally Gupta belonged was somewhere located in eastern UP or maximum including Magadh. First, Allahabad pillar inscription, that is the earliest known inscription ever issued by any Gupta ruler located near to the eastern UP, is it? Where the achievement of Samudragupta was recorded in great detail. And secondly, the nature of coin hoards of the Gupta found in the region of eastern UP. First, it was inscription, then coin hoards. Coin hoards क्या होता है? I hope you all are aware about the coin hoards. During ancient period or medieval period, we do not have a banking system. If people have some gold coins or silver coins, they used to bury it under the soil, putting into the metal pot. अब वो जो खुदाई में मिलते हैं, so that what we call it hoards, more than one coins when we are getting it in the excavation are known as hoards. And then there are information coming from the Puranas also. This was basically the eastern UP area, or this particular geographical area was the place where Gupta originally belonged. But there are no concrete evidence to determine the boundary of the kingdom of Chandragupta, as Chandragupta was the earliest known ruler who can be considered as the real founder because he was the one who had a title of Maharaja Dhiraj. But it is generally believed that part of Bihar, UP, and Bengal was the area which was controlled, which was ruled by Chandragupta first. Chandragupta first is said to have also started a new era that was generally believed it was somewhere around 319 or 20 AD, but it is not clear from any record that he has started an era which came to be known as Gupta Sambat or Gupta era. Nowhere it is written in the inscription issued by Guptas or the coins issued by Guptas or the text which was produced at the time of Guptas. But this is what people or the historian working on ancient India, they try to connect it a particular era with the Guptas. And they have given credit to Chandragupta first. It was he who established that particular, you know, era that was later known as Gupta era. So, as we all know, Chandragupta was the first ruler who was independent and had a title of Maharaja Dhiraj. And after him, it was Samudragupta who came into the power. Actually, before coming to the Samudragupta, there is a observation made by the historian that it was Kushana under whom these early two Gupta rulers were ruling, or the early two Gupta rulers, they were subordinate to him, including Shri Gupta and Ghatotkaч. And to make their point more meaningful, what the scholar has suggested, the weight of the earliest coins issued by Guptas was equivalent to the weight pattern which was followed by Kushanas. Now, about Samudragupta, we do get information about him mainly from Allahabad pillar inscription, which was originally installed by Ashoka. Sometime that is also known as Prayag Prasasti, or we call it eulogy in English. आप किसी को प्रेज करने के लिए, किसी के तारीफ करने के लिए कुछ जो चीजें लिखते हैं, दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल इट प्रशस्ति or eulogy. So, as I have already shared with you, it was 32 or 33 lines are there altogether in the inscription. And in that inscription, we do get information. It was Chandragupta first who selected Samudragupta as his successor. But when this decision was taken by Chandragupta first, there was a few people sitting in the court. They were upset, they were not happy, and they were not at all comfortable, as it was recorded by Samudragupta in his inscription. It seems there were other claimants of the throne also. There were other princes also. They also wanted to be the king after the death of his father Chandragupta first. And then we do have evidences, especially from the coins, coins that is similar to the shape, similar to the size, similar to the inscription, as we have seen in the case of Chandragupta coins or the coins of Samudragupta. There was a coins where only word Kach was written, Kachha, Kach. So there is a debate how this new ruler appear between Chandragupta first and Samudragupta. So there is an understanding of the historian कि maybe he was the another claimant of the throne. He also wanted to be the king, and he was not happy with the decision taken by his father Chandragupta first by appointing Samudragupta. So he also claimed to be the king and issued the coins. Now, according to one interpretation, कि Samudragupta brother His name was Kach, who revolted against him, and he declared himself as the king of Gupta, and he issued the coins also, because we do have the evidence of coins. And finally, he died in the War of Succession. Another view, according to the historian, is that actually coins with the name Kach was issued by Samudragupta only in honor of his father, the honor of his brother. And the third view is that ke Kach was basically the initial name of, or the earlier name of, Samudragupta. And once Samudragupta start expanding his territory, start acquiring new geographical area after defeating the number of ruler one after the other, then he took the title of Samudragupta. So, what may be the actual region that is not aware? These are the two, three different opinion of the scholar working on ancient history. Actually, we all are aware, those who have little understanding about ancient history, especially about Guptas, that Samudragupta is basically the ruler. He is known as Napoleon of India. It was actually V.A. Smith. It was he who has given this title to Samudragupta. Actually, all the military expedition, military achievement of Samudragupta is recorded in the pillar of Allahabad, the Ashokan pillar of Allahabad, or what we call it, Prayag Prasasti. So, altogether, on the basis of information given on the Allahabad pillar inscription, what it was suggested by the historian, there was four different type of conquest made by Samudragupta. One, what we call it, campaign in Aryabrat, that is North India, and there are 12 ruler. Actually, there is a sequence given in the inscription. Okay, what was the area which was conquered? Number one, then two, three, four, five, six. So on the basis of sequence, if at all, this is sequence means okay, the actual sequence through which all the kingdoms were conquered and defeated. So what it was recorded in the Allahabad pillar inscription, first three ruler of Aryavarat were defeated, and then again there is information about South India, and then again there is a nine ruler of North India. So altogether there were 12 rulers of North India were defeated, as it is recorded in Allahabad pillar inscription. And then what Samudragupta did, Samudragupta started his campaign in South India, is it, where he defeated again 12 ruler, and what we call it, Dakshina Patha. Dakshina, that is South Path Rasta. Dakshina Patha, that is South India, where he defeated 12 ruler. And after defeating 12 ruler, what Samudragupta did, he basically captured them and then released them. And there is a two word recorded in inscription of Samudragupta. One, that is Grahana, to accept, and then to release, that is moksha. So what Samudragupta did, by defeating the ruler of South India, he allowed them to rule freely, but they will have to be consider Samudragupta as their boss, or they will work under Samudragupta. They will have to pay tribute to him. They will have to be loyal to him. This is what it means. While in the conquest which Samudragupta made in South North India, he simply or violently eliminated the rulers, defeated them, finished them, and captured their area directly and start ruling over them. But in case of South India, he allowed those rulers after defeating them to rule and to continue, not to surrender their territory. Is it? Now, the third type of conquest, which was made by Samudragupta, was a frontier kingdom. And in that frontier kingdom, what he did, कि Samantas or Samatada South, actually Samanta was the term used for the feudal lords, which was little later. Actually, what in a frontier kingdom Samudragupta did, he basically conquered the frontier kingdom like Kamarup, that was Assam, ancient name of Assam, and then he conquered Southeast Bengal. He There are references of conquering Nepal also that is identified with Nepal, and then he also captured some new republican states, including Malwas, Yahodayas, Madrakas, Abiras, and these rulers of the frontier state and republican state, they paid him tributes of all kind and carried out his orders and paid him homage on the special occasion. And then there is an information that he, in the same inscription, that he even defeated or captured the forest region to the forest kingdom also, and the Samudragupta bring him to the position of a servant. Then the fourth category, as it was recorded by the scholar working on ancient history, including R.C. Majumdar, कि there was a group of a state, or there was a group of kingdom, they voluntarily surrendered Guptas or the Samudra Gupta. कि we are ready to work with you, we are ready to work under you. And after surrendering them, they offered even their daughters in marriages and request to the administration of their own district and provinces. This means that they remained independent, but that independence had to be approved by Samudragupta. In this category, what it was recorded, there were the foreign rulers, including the rulers of northwestern India, including Kushanas and the Shaka chief. And there are references of surprisingly a different island country, including Simhala, which was identified by the scholar as Sri Lanka. After Samudragupta, what we have seen, it was Chandragupta who came into the power. But definitely, we do not have that much information as we have seen in the case of Samudragupta. On the basis of the literary sources, on the basis of the coins, especially copper coins, inscription, it was generally suggested that it was a Ramagupta who succeeded Samudragupta. And then there was a drama written by Devi Chandraguptam by Vishak Dutt. He made mention how Chandragupta II killed his own elder brother Ramagupta as he succeeded Samudragupta. What was the reason of killing Ramagupta, his own brother, by Chandragupta? Second, because Ramagupta was ready to surrender his wife after the peace negotiation in which, after a battle where Rudra Simha III, a Saka king who defeated Ramagupta, and at the end of it, when the peace agreement took place, Ramagupta was ready to surrender his wife to the, what you call it, Rudra Simha III, as it was the condition of the peace. Lekin, what happened? When this information was known to Chandragupta II, what he did, he decided that now he will go in disguise of a lady, is it, to the camp of Rudrasimha III. Finally, Chandragupta, in dress of a lady and a makeup of a Dhruv Devi, he went inside the camp of Rudrasimha III and he killed Saka king. And when he came back, he killed his own brother Ramagupta also and got married with Dhruv Devi, the widow of Ramagupta. This is what it was recorded. Now, what we have seen, there are two, three major achievements of Chandragupta II. One, it was he who eliminated or who finished the rule of Sakas in Malwa and Gujarat region. Because Gujarat and Malwa region was continuously under the rule of Sakas from the last 400 years. And after defeating them, it was for the first time Gupta ruler, any Gupta ruler who issued coins that too in silver. And that silver coins was known as rupiah. And then it was a gold coins which was issued by Gupta was known as dinar. So the first time it was Chandragupta II who issued silver coins, and that too in the Malwa and Gujarat region. And this was the area which was previously under Sakas. Now, to make it sure that there should not be much difference between the coins, what happened? Chandragupta II followed the same weight standard of coins as it was previously there in that particular region. Secondly, Chandragupta had a matrimonial alliances with the Vakatakas family, where his own daughter Prabhavati Gupta got married with Rudra Sen. He also had a matrimonial alliances with Nagas, where Chandragupta got married with the Naga princess Kuber Naga, and actually Kuber Naga was the mother of Prabhavati Gupta. Now, what we have seen, कि there are further extension of boundary. Further, the area which was previously ruled by Samudragupta was further extended, and many new area was added into it, including Gujarat, Kathiawad, and Malwa. Now, after him, it was Kumaragupta who succeeded him as his successor. So altogether, there are lot of sources which were produced under Chandragupta II, and even the earliest known Chinese traveler, he also visited to India during his reign. And what he has recorded in his text, कि the ruler of Madhya Desh or the kingdom of Madhya Desh, that is North India, was economically very vibrant, and there was altogether total prosperity. People were happy, and even there was a hospital for the human being and animals. This is what he was recorded about Madhya Desh. Surprisingly, Fahyan has not made mention of the ruler, the dynasty, or anything that is related with Guptas. Only he has pointed out the region. Now, as I said, it was Kumara Gupta who succeeded him, Chandragupta II, and we do get information about Kumaragupta from the number of inscriptions and the coins issued by him, including Bilsad inscription. Then there was a what we call it Karamdanda inscription. Then it was a Kumaragupta, who that Karamdanda inscription was issued by Kumaragupta ministers. And then there was a Mansoor inscription. In the Mansoor inscription, it is recorded that even Kumaragupta was basically the ruler who had a control all around the world, all over the earth. Then there was a copper plate inscription available from Damodar. They made mention of a Maharaja Dhiraj. Kumaragupta, he appointed a governor to a province known as Pundravardhan Bhukti. Bhukti was basically the province. And then there are Similar other information which gives us an idea about the contribution made by Kumara Gupta. Now, what we have seen after his death, it was Askand Gupta who succeeded him, and Askand Gupta was the last important ruler of Gupta dynasty. And this is what we have seen. Okay, to consolidate his power, to consolidate his position, there are epigraphical records, there are references coming from the inscription. K. Askan Gupta had to fight with Pushyamitras. He was a ruler of central India. And then Askan Gupta had to face the attack of the Hunas also. Because this was the period when Hunas were trying to inroad inside India. They wanted to come inside India. They wanted to control the northern regions only. But it was Gupta who tried to counter them, and Askand Gupta was the last powerful ruler of Gupta dynasty who tried his best to attack and to stop them. But what we have seen, Askand Gupta was successful in throwing the Hunas back, but in return, what happened? It appears from the, the coins issued by him, there was lot of pressure on the economy during Askand Gupta. His coins, which were heavier in weight than the previous ruler, especially gold coins, but the content of gold was less. Is it? Here, I wanted to share it with you. In Indian history, the earliest known gold coins was issued by Indo-Greeks. The purest number of gold coins, सबसे pure gold coins was issued by Kushana, and the maximum number of gold coins in ancient India was issued by Guptas. So the coins issued by Skandagupta was heavier in weight, but the content of gold was less. So this is what it was suggested by the scholar. कि maybe because of his constant fight with the Hunas, and then there were the other rulers, including Pushymitras, there was a lot of pressure on the economy of Guptas, and that is why there is a debasement of coins, and the purity of gold was undermined when the coins of gold was issued. Now there is another information which is quite interesting, and you all must be aware of. कि Junagadh inscription, where it is said कि Rudra Daman was basically the ruler of Sakas, and it was he who issued the earliest known inscription written in Sanskrit. It was around 150 AD, and where he made mention that there was a lake known as Sudarshan Lake was made by Chandragupta of Maurya dynasty, or Chandragupta Maurya, somewhere around 300, 1015. The exact date is not written, but only the name of the ruler is appearing. It was Chandragupta Maurya. He asked his governor to make a lake, and on the same lake there was a dam which was built by Rudradaman, Saka ruler, around 150 AD, as it is recorded in Junagadh rock inscription. And due to the heavy rain, that dam got destroyed, and Askand Gupta issued an inscription. And according to that information, according to you know that inscription, it was he gave order to the governor to repair the dam which was damaged due to the heavy rain. So what we can see, there is a system of public works in which kings used to take interest, and this lake was not only used, sorry, this lake was not only used for drinking purposes, but even for the what we call it irrigational purposes also, and state also played an important role in providing water for the purpose of irrigation. Now, as we all know, Gupta had a big area under their control. So, for the proper functioning, proper law and order situation, for the proper management of the state, we need a system of governance. We need a hierarchy of bureaucrats and the minister who can control or who can rule or who can implement the decision taken by the king and the Mantri Parishad. So, for that reason, we have to discuss the system under Guptas, especially the administration under the Guptas. So, we have seen during Gupta period, Gupta king did not, interfere in the administration of those regions where the king had accepted their sovereignty or king had accepted already Gupta rulers is our boss. However, there are references that Gupta had a strong bureaucracy, number of minister one after the other with a assigned with a certain responsibility which they were supposed to fulfill it. But to in the bureaucratic hierarchy, it was king on the top, then the minister, and then the bureaucrats. So, king remained the central figure of administration. However, there was a considerable change in the character of monarchy, and we do find that Gupta monarchs adopted high sounding titles like a Param Bhattarak, then a Param Devta, then it was Chakravarti, then it was Parameshwara. These are some of the title which basically gives us idea about the position of the king during Gupta period. And surprisingly, even in Allahabad pillar inscription, what we have seen, even Samudra Gupta was, described him as a equal to the gods like Dhananand, who was basically considered as a god of wealth or sometime Kuber. And then it was Varuna, he was compared with Varuna, the sea god, then he was compared with Indra and even Vama also. So this was the time where divine right theory was already in practice, where king start considering himself as the representative of the god or equal to the god. What we have seen in medieval period, Zillullah fillers or Zillelahi, that shadow of the god or the rays of the god. This is again the divine right theory. A ruling class start claiming that they are the one who had a direct connection with the god. So even if they are doing something wrong, it was the decision that was given by the decision taken by the god, not by the king. So even Dharmashastra written during that period also start giving importance to the ruling class and the king. And what it was recorded in Manu Dharma Shastra, ki respect the king even if he is child, because he is not an ordinary fellow. Actually, he was the one who is selected by the god to rule you, to control you, to punish you if at all you are doing anything wrong. Is it? Now, this kind of position was there for the king, and during Gupta period we do get information from the literary sources as well as the epigraphical records. Actually, it was the duty of the king to decide the policy of the state during war and peace. For instance, Samundragupta, it was prudent enough to reinstate the monarch of Dakshinapat and the ruler who got defeated by him in South India. He wanted to return back their kingdom. It was his duty, it was his decision, not the decision of any Mantri Parishad or anybody who advised him and he did it. No. It was king who decided his words and his wish were basically the rule. It happens during ancient and medieval period. There was no such written rule that king will basically act according to the constitution. No, it all depend upon his mood and wish, and obviously intelligence also. So it was he who was all powerful, and it was he who can do what he liked to do. The king was to lead the army in the case of war, and this is demonstrated through the campaign of Samudragupta and Chandragupta II. The king was also expected to support Brahmanas, Sramanas, and all other who needed his protections. He was also supposed to penetrate the learned and religious people and give them every possible help whatever was in the best of their progress. And then what we have seen, as far as the judicial matter is concerned, as a supreme judge, he looked after the administration of justice and according to the religious precepts and existing customs. Today we have a system, Supreme Court, High Court, then District Court. During ancient and medieval, this all idea was invented after once the British controlled India or colonized India. But before the advent of British in India, we do have some system which was altogether different in medieval and ancient period, and there was no written law. All this thing was basically based on existing customs. So it was the king or the duty of the king to appoint central and provincial ministers and Prayag Prasasti or the Allahabad pillar inscriptions. And then there was a type of coins which was known as Apratigaha, Apratigaha types of coins of Kumar Gupta point out how there was a system of appointing successor by the king that was prevailing during Gupta period. An important political development of this period was the continuity of various kings in their region once they accepted the suzerainty of the Gupta king. What we have seen, once rulers surrender willingly, then they were appointed again as a king by the Gupta rulers and they were allowed to rule, but they had to consider Gupta ruler as their boss. And in return, what the Gupta ruler did, Gupta king would not interfere with the administration of such region. As far as the Council of Ministers is concerned, what we have seen, Gupta inscription are not very clear about the hierarchy of minister, who was number one minister, number two, number three, number four. However, there is no doubt that king used to take counsel of his minister and issue written instruction to the official of all important matters. And the minister's office was perhaps hereditary because we do have information after the death of a minister father, his son used to succeed his position and power. This is verified by the Udaygiri inscription of the time of Chandragupta II, where we do get information that there was a minister Veer Sen Sabha. Veer Sen Sabha. He was basically the minister of war and peace, and he was assisted by, when he died, he was succeeded by his son on the same position. So there are references during Gupta period. The position of minister was also hereditary, like the king. Then there is a reference कि king was altogether a chief of the judicial matter, and then he was assisted by number of officials to dispense the justice or to give justice to the people. And one of the most important officials who was appointed by king was Mahadandanayak. Danda Nayak. Mahadandanayak. That was like a chief justice. In the province, in the state or the province under Guptas, what we have seen, this responsibility of giving justice was given to the Uparikaras, Uparikas, and then at a district level, it was Vishyapati who was supposed to be the in charge of justice. While in village, what we have seen, it was a headman or the village elder. They used to sit together and decide the case on the basis of its merit. Now, there is information available from the Chinese traveler Fahian that there was no capital punishment in India that time when he visited, especially in Madhya Desh, which we used to identify with the kingdoms of or the empire of Guptas. There were some other high officials, as we do get information from the inscription. For example, we have Mahapratihara. He was the chief palace guard. He was in charge of giving security and safety to the palace where king and his family used to live. Then there was a Pratiharas. Their duty was to regulate ceremonies and granted the necessary permits for the admission of the royal premises. Whenever there will be any functions, any rituals, anything, any celebration would be there, it was his responsibility to make sure about all the arrangement and issue permits who will be present in that particular events. Now we do have a reference of a spy system because a spy system was very much prevailing in ancient India, and even today also we do have different intelligence agency. So it was more in a crude form, but yes, there was a system of a spy even in Vedic, later Vedic period, and even in it was continue one after the other. And when British also had a system of a spy, so there was a system of a spy during Gupta period also. And then there was a special officer about which we do have information known as Dutakas. Is it? The duty of Dutakas was to prepare the list ke, to whom land grant has been given, what is the area, is it? What is the detail of that particular person? So that fellow was equally important and during Gupta period as it is recorded in the inscription. As far as army of Gupta is concerned, what we have seen कि to capture such a big area was not a easy task that we cannot do it without having a strong army or big army organizations. So what we have seen through the inscriptional evidences, at the time of war, king led his army, but ordinarily there was a minister called Sandhi Bigrahika. Sandhi Bigrahika was basically the minister in charge of peace and war, who was helped by a group of high officials, and the official title was Mahabaladhikarta. Mahabaladhikarta was basically the official titles occur or appeared in many inscriptions during Gupta period associated with the army administration. We do have reference of the head of the elephant wings known as Pilupati, Pilupati, Pilupati. Then we do have head of the horse's wing that was Ashwapati. Then we do have infantry or foot soldier. They were known as Narapati. And they all, these Pilupati, Yashopati, Narapati, they all were under Mahabaladhikarta. Then there are references that army were mainly paid in cash and its need were well looked after by an officer in charge of a store known as Rana Bhandara Grahika. Rana Bhanda Garika was basically the person or the in charge who used to take care of the all requirement, all needs of the army. Now, including providing the weapons, dress, or the types of weapons which were required by the army man. As far as the revenue administration is concerned, what we have seen, land revenue was basically the main source of a state income. And beside the fine, during Samudragupta, what we have seen there was a Gopasramin. Gopasramin was basically working as a Akshpatalikas or Akshpatali. His duty was to enter numerous matter in the accounts registered or the royal recover royal dues from the sureties of servants to check the embezzlement and to recover fines for loss due to the neglect or fraud. Another prominent high officials was known as Pushtapala, that was a record keeper, and it was his duty to make inquiry before recording any transactions. Then Gupta king maintained for the collection of land revenue or the land tax. There is a reference in Commander Kaz Nitisara. King should take a special care of his treasury, and for the life of the estate depends solely on it. Even both Kalidas and author of Narad Smriti, both the texts are supposed to be the contemporary text of the Gupta dynasty. They have made mention that it was one sixth of the total produce was claimed as a land revenue. Beside this, there was a tax known as Uparikara that was mainly levied on cloth, oil, when a merchant was taking it from one city to the another city. And the organization of traders had to pay a certain commercial tax that was known as shulk, the non-payment of which resulted in cancellation of the rights of trade and fine amounting to the eight time of the original shulka or the original fine. The king had a right to forced labor also, vishti, for which we do have a special term, vishti, in ancient text and even in records. Bali and many other types of taxes were also contributed during Gupta period. The king income from the royal land or the royal cultivated area and the forest was considered as his personal income. Beside this, there is a references whatever will come out from the earth, including mines or the salt or any precious metals that will belong to the king and the kingdom. No, nobody can possess it privately, as it's a crime. As far as the provincial and district and village level administration is concerned, what we have seen, कि the whole empire was divided into desas or rashtra. Desh or rashtra was basically the term used for a state, including Bhukti. And then Bhukti was controlled, or Bhukti was under the control of Uparikas. Uparikas was basically like a governor, and they were appointed by the king. Now, Bhukti was further divided into Vishyas, what we call it district. The state was divided into district. And then there was an official known as Vishyapati who was supposed to be the head of the district. And we do have references from the Gupta inscription, especially from Bengal, कि there are number of people from the local community, they were associated with the district administration, and they all were basically help the district administrator to run the government or to run the law and order situation, to run the system efficiently. So the city, there was a committee through which that city administrator used to control the situation, where we do have references ke Satwaha, that was the Karwan leader, was the member. Then there was a Pratham Kulika, that was head of the artisan community, was the member. Then there was a Pratham Kayastha, that head of the Kayastha community or the Kayast community, Kayast caste, now it's caste, that was the member. So all together to functioning of the city and the city administration, we do have number of people associated with it, with the district administrators to run the government efficiently. Then we do have references at village level. There was, it was gram elders or the village elders or the gram vridhas who were supposed to be there to run the administration, including the head of the gram. So altogether, what we have seen, ke, as it was suggested, as it was propounded, as it was propagated, ke Gupta period was the period of Indian history that can be regarded as a golden period of India, a golden period of Indian history that cannot be accepted at all. Because no period in Indian history or world history, for example, can be regarded as a golden period. Is it? Because when we talk about golden period, it means there was altogether total prosperity, economic development, social justice, every caste, people from every section, people from every gender must be treated well, is it? But let me tell you, as I said, no period in world history can be regarded as a golden period, is it? Not even in democracy also. Actually, what happened, this was the system, this was the term used by the nationalist historian when there was a constant attack by the British historian on Indian culture, Indian religious traditions, especially on ancient India. So the nationalist historian, they start writing history according to protect their own history, and accordingly Gupta period was the period which was regarded as a golden period of Indian history or ancient history. Yes, as far as development of Sanskrit is concerned, that is definitely a golden period of Indian history. Maximum number of Sanskrit literature and different variety of Sanskrit literature were composed and compiled and written during Gupta period. As far as development of scientific literature is concerned in ancient India, it was definitely a golden age, is it? But the way it was propounded, the way it was propagated, the way it was written, it was the golden period of ancient India, or it was a golden period of Indian history that cannot be accepted. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity. I hope there will be few questions and I will be happy to respond to it.
Now the session is open for question question answer round. First question is, First question is from Saman Siddiqui. Which Gupta ruler called Sakari and why?
Actually, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Actually, about Chandragupta II, it is said ki who defeated Saka king, is it? And that is why he was known as Sakari, the enemy of Sakas. But there are no contemporary evidences, there are no contemporary records to identify the word which was invented later in the text. Because Sakari was the title used by Chandragupta II, but originally he was not the one who used the title Sakari, is it? But yes, it was Chandragupta II who was considered to be the Sakari among all the Gupta rulers as he defeated Sakas.
Okay, sir. Anyone else? No question, sir. Now the question session round is closed.
May I leave the hello?
Vote of thanks. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks to our esteemed expert, Dr. Muhammad Nazrul Bari sir, who has just delivered an informative and inspiring speech on the topic origin, geographical extent, and political structure of the Gupta period. Firstly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the expert for sharing with his valuable insights and expertise on the topic. Your presentation has provided us with a wealth of knowledge and has given us a deeper understanding of the Gupta period. Your speech had been enlightening, informative, and inspiring. You have highlighted the sources of Gupta Empire, geographical boundaries of the Gupta Empire, and rulers of the Gupta dynasty. Significance of title of the Gupta kings like Maharaja Dhiraj, Param Bhagwat. On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to express our sincere gratitude for your valuable contribution to our knowledge and understanding of Gupta dynasty. Once again, thank you very much for your time, knowledge, and insights. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.